The families of the deceased are at the Diepkloof mortuary in Soweto to identify their loved ones. The Gauteng Department of Health says the majority of the 74 people killed in that blaze were burnt beyond recognition. The department has warned that the DNA testing will take a while because of the conditions of the bodies. Our reporter Linda Mnisi is at the Diepkloof Forensic Pathology Services. Linda, you've been speaking to the families that are there to start this process of identifying their loved ones. But that process may take long. Hearing from the Gauteng department now that that issue of identifying the bodies may take a while.
Indeed, Clement, and with some of the family members that we've seen here at the Diepkloof mortuary, the process has really been frustrating in terms of looking for their loved ones. You'll remember that many of them still don't know where they are. Many of them still don't know whether their loved ones have perished or survived the blaze. So they go around looking for them. And, you should see the faces of the ones who can't identify or whose loved ones cannot be found, and the worry that they have, Clement. They leave these premises not really knowing, and it does not help also that there are quite a number of hospitals that the survivors have been taken to. The entire process now rests on the DNA samples that are taken by the authorities here at the Diepkloof mortuary. So while they wait for the results of those DNA, they go around these hospitals. They'll be going around these hospitals this coming weekend to try and see whether or not they can find their loved ones. Some of the family members that we've been speaking to just outside here telling us that it makes it even more difficult because when you call the hospitals, some of the people that have been brought in can't speak, and they've not given their names to the authorities, and therefore it means the families themselves need to then leave and go to the hospitals to try and inquire whether or not their loved ones are there. So it really is going to be, it's going to take some time before many families identify their loved ones, and a lot of them remain in the dark about what could have possibly happened. They tell us, Clement, that they try to even ask some of the survivors who were living in that building about what exactly could have happened, what could have caused this fire. And it's very difficult really to tell for many of them because what they're saying is that, a lot of them are still traumatized, and recounting that horror just makes it even more horrible.
What have we learned so far from the authorities about the conditions of the bodies?
Well, what we're told, Clement, is that of those bodies or those dead bodies that they've received, it's only a few that are identifiable, and that is why we're seeing, Clement, a large number of the people that are coming here not being able to identify their loved ones. So people being burnt beyond recognition makes it even harder for them to be identified. This is the DNA process, rather, is something that the Department of Health felt was necessary even before this tragedy to deal with it. But over and above that, what we're told is that many of them really are in a bad state, and therefore they cannot be easily identifiable. In fact, you speak to the families that have come out here who thought the process of viewing the bodies would be through the opening of those fridges for them to go in and have a look at the bodies. But what they're told is that they'll only have a look at the pictures that have been taken by the authorities here. They will not get to see the physical bodies, so only the pictures. And from some who have told us, who have spoken to us, telling us that it's just the pictures of those who are identifiable. So it makes it even more difficult for them because the process of identifying for them may be a different concept, really. They may want to see, for example, certain body parts which can help them identify their loved ones, but they cannot due to the conditions of the bodies being burnt beyond recognition.
Linda Mnisi, thank you for that update. Live to us from the Diepkloof mortuary, where those families are going to start that process of identifying the bodies of their loved ones.